Good evening, YouTube. Greetings. Once again, I am back to do another album review after doing a pretty long hiatus of not doing album reviews. I was really itching to do one today. I had some free time. And here's the thing, I had a epiphany or a concept, whatever, that usually I just do random albums. I just do whichever ones I just feel like doing a review of at the time. But I had a feeling that with starting today, how about having an episode series of debut albums? I was listening to some debut albums. There's a lot of debut albums that I have in my collection I'd like to review and put on YouTube. I think it'd be fun. So I'm going to try this. So this is episode 1 in the debut album series. And for episode 1, we're going to start off with this album by a pretty obscure band. You know the front woman of this band, but you might not hear much about this actual band. It's this album right here, The Breeders' 1990 debut album Pod on 4AD Records. You know, this is the debut record from our CD from The Breeders. Okay, The Breeders' Pod. Let's get on with the review. First of all, I want to talk about the lineup. This is basically the original lineup of The Breeders. This is pre-Kelly Dill. Kelly Dill was not a part of this. What you have here is Kim Dill, of course, who is The Breeders, basically, on vocals and guitar. Tanya Donnelly from Throwing Muses and Belly, or later on to be with Belly, on guitar and vocals. Josephine Wiggs, bass and backing vocals. And drummer Shannon Doughton, vocals and drums, and occasional violin player Carrie Bradley. So that is the lineup for The Breeders' first album. This was at the time a side project from the Pixies. The Pixies were still around while this was going on, and she made this album in between Doolittle and Bossa Nova. Kim did. Okay, let's get on with the album. First of all, I want to say that I really think this is an incredible album. I think this is a really cool album. It starts off with Glorious, which you hear Kim singing kind of a cappella, and then the bass and the drums kick in. It's a sleeper song. This is a very sleeper, grooving, some would say stoner rock, shoegaze, whatever. This is a very relaxing one. It starts off with a very relaxing song with Glorious. It's a very good opener. I really like the way this album starts off. And then we go into Doe, which is a big rocker. This is like a head-bobbing, fist-punching rocker. I really like Doe. This one, you really can get into it. Kind of a crowd, maybe a mosh song, crowd surfing song. This is good. Definitely listen to Doe. Check it out on YouTube if you haven't heard Doe. I really like Doe. Another winner. This is a hit for me. Number 3, we go into a weird cover song. A weird choice of covers. They actually covered the Beatles. Happiness is a Warm Gun from the White Album. Actually, it's a pretty cool cover. It's interesting. It's got a Breeders touch to it. They added the Breeders spice. I'm not sure why Kim wanted to put this on the album, but it's actually it's okay. It's a pretty decent cover, I think the Beatles personally have been covered to death, but I'm not going to complain too much about that. Next we go on to O, which is another sleeper song. This is the first song with the violin. Carrie Bradley's playing violin on this, and it's real kind of slow, kind of swaying. And you can actually hear, there's a point where you hear Kim Deal's voice crack while she's trying to sing real high. You can hear it crack, which is kind of cool, actually. And there's backing vocals. So O, it's okay, so I'm pretty cool. Like O. Number 5 is Hellbound. This one I love. This actually shows off one of Josephine's talents as not just a great bass player, but a nice backing vocalist. Josephine, you can hear her singing background. You can hear her going hellbound, hellbound during the chorus part. And the bass on this is really cool. I love that. She's actually a very underrated bass player, and she's definitely, in my opinion, a very important member of the Breeders. Very important. I always was a fan of Josephine Wiggs. Big fan of her bass playing. Love her vocals. Hellbound is really good. When I was a painter, excuse me, is an upbeat popper. I can't talk tonight, but anyway, I'm gonna try. When I Was a Painter is an upbeat pop number. Do do ta do 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 ta. Upbeat drumming, nice bass. Do 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 do. Really like this one, and then it's got the verse part that has kind of this dynamic to it. In the chorus, you hear the strumming guitars, Tanya and Kim just going, and then you hear Kim going, go, go, go. Really good song. I really like this one. Fortunately Gone's a nice, kind of poppy, kind of sugar-coated one, which I like. I really kind of like this one. It's a nice poppy. Fortunately Gone. Hard to describe this one, but I really like it. I suggest you look this one up on YouTube as well. I really like Fortunately Gone. And number 8 is the hit from the album. What I think was most, if any of these songs were a hit, it was Iris. Iris starts off with this guitar by Donnelly, and it reminds me of the opening to PSY or Psychedelic of the Butthole Surfers. I remember that guitar sounds so familiar. It sounds a lot like PSY or Psychedelic by the Butthole Surfers. And it's a really great song. It's real slow. It's kind of another sleeper song. And it gets pretty heavy at parts. It gets heavy and it gets kind of mellow and then gets back into heavy, the crunch of the guitars. And Kim is yelling and just wailing through the song, and it sounds great. I love the way she's yelling and expressing, but delivering herself is what I meant to say. She's delivering herself in these songs, in this song. So fortunately, Iris is good. Opened is a pretty interesting one. It's not one of my favorites, but it's actually it's not a bad song. Probably one of the weakest ones on here. Open's okay. It's kind of a upbeat rocker. But number 10. This is my hit single right here. And I might be biased because I'm a huge Tanya Donnelly fan. This is Only in Threes. And this is the one song that she gets a co-writing credit for. And you can hear her harmonizing with Kim Deal. And she sounds so great. She sounds so great right here. The guitar sounds great. I love the bass. I love the drum line on this. The drum part is great. This song is a huge hit for me. And like I said, I might be biased because I am a huge Tanya Donnelly fan. And I love Belly. I'm a huge Belly fan. But Only in Threes is a great, great song. Only in Threes, well, I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, Only in Threes. Definitely look that up on YouTube. Limehouse. Love it. Love Limehouse. I'm in a limehouse. I am in a limehouse. Good poppy rocker. Really good upbeat poppy rocker. Kind of garage. Kind of reminds me of Guided by Voices a little bit. It's really good. It's got that kind of Daytona, Ohio rock sound to it. So Limehouse is another hit. Love it. Almost as much as Only in Threes. Maybe I like it equally. I don't know. Limehouse is amazing. And then we close the album with Mellow Man, which is an interesting song. You hear this guitar, and then in the background, faintly, you can hear Josephine singing Not Hot, I think is what she's saying. This one's an interesting song, but it's not really a great song. I think it closes it okay, that they kind of saved the weakest one for last, but it's really not as on par as some of the other stuff on this album is. This is basically, in my opinion, this is a classic debut album, and one of the reasons why I like it so much, and as I said, I'm being biased, is I'm a huge Tanya Donnelly fan, but because she's on this, and her guitar playing sounds great, her harmony vocals, I love Tanya's voice, you know, and she co-wrote Only in Threes. That's the best song on the album, so I love Kim Deal to death, love what she's written for the Breeders, but Tanya Donnelly is it's probably what makes this album for me. So this is the debut album from the Breeders pod. I'm going to give this a grade. This is a classic, obscure album, and not only that, I'm going to go on and give you a little fun fact. This was actually one of Kurt Cobain's favorite albums. This is a great, great record. I'm going to give this an A. This is a really good album. I'm giving this an A, solid A. There's nothing bad on here. There's some kind of not so great moments. I'm not a big fan of the cover. I mean, I like it a little bit. Mellow Man and Opened are... But all these other songs totally make up for it. Doe, check out Doe, and Please check out Only in Threes. But this is the debut album from the Breeders' Pod, and they didn't really get a lot of publicity other than like certain reviews in like Spin or whatever. Certain magazines and fanzines, record collectors. The Pixies fans bought it. The Throwing Mooses fans bought it, but you know, there wasn't really any MTV exposure, or very little MTV exposure, and they didn't tour for this album, which I think hurt sales. The album didn't sell very well. I think had they have toured, it would have helped it a little bit, but the other members probably all the members probably had obligations. But like I said, this was a side project at the time, in between Pixies albums, Doolittle and Bossa Nova. Totally recommend this album. You can find this used. Definitely look for it used. Get it on Amazon used. Go to a thrift store, a used CD place. Any place you can find used CDs, look for this. I recommend this. This is a classic album. I love Pod by the Breeders. This gets an A. This is my first episode of debut albums. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to do some more. I've got a lot of ideas. I'm not going to give them away right now. But there's a lot of albums in a list right up here that I want to do for the debut album series. So this is episode 1 of debut albums, and it started off with the Breeders' Pod. You heard it. You saw it here first. Episode 1 debut albums, the Breeders' Pod. It gets an A. Go buy the Breeders' Pod. Listen to Limehouse and Only in Threes. Great hit singles, in my opinion. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll look for some more debut album reviews. I've got a few tricks up my sleeve, a few ideas in my head, and I'll be sure to share them with you. Thanks for watching YouTube. Have a wonderful day.